everyone. Welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. The CBS drama FBI shows the inner workings of the agency, following first-class agents in New York as they fight terrorism, organized crime, and counterintelligence. Today, I'm sitting down with Zeeko Zaki, who plays Agent OA. But first, here's a clip.
You grew up here?
We're all very proud of you. Your father would be too.
I care about results, not process.
Where's the ball? Where is it?
Get the kids off the field now!
I don't understand why we're still fighting.
Put your hands together for Zeeko Zaki. That was an intense little trailer.
Yeah, they squeeze 45 minutes into 30 seconds like nobody else. It's crazy. Yeah.
But it gets us excited. I can't wait for the show to come back. What does it feel for you? What does it feel like to have the second season where you guys get to come back and continue telling these stories?
The biggest thing is kind of, the trust and the admiration, I guess, from the audience, knowing that they're down to keep it going and grow with me. And they gave me so much the first season, and stepping away from it and realizing that, whatever I thought was my worst day or best day, they all supported. So then it gives me the freedom to kind of come back with a little bit more confidence and, just give them this badass OA that hopefully will stay around for a while.
And catch us up. Where did we leave him in last season? Were there any sort of things that we were still curious about, or that we'll kind of get some revelations to in the second season?
Well, I think as all Dick Wolf shows go, it's just a combination of very small amount of character stuff with, high action, super fun episodes to watch. So, what was nice was, and I'd mentioned this to Dick, I'm really supportive of being a really strong male support system for having a female lead. Let's go all day. And, coming into this first episode, when I read the script, I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to build a little bit on OA and getting to cash in on the significance of having a Middle Eastern, Arab American lead with this episode and the stuff that we touch on. It was really nice to be able to do it from the protagonist platform, and talk about these topics and say some of the things that we say in this episode.
Yeah, the episode is called Little Egypt, right?
Yes.
And OA is Arab American. His family's from Egypt. So how does he sort of tie into this plot?
This one was really crazy. It just feels like the writers are really blending my real life with the show, and which is nice with this being such a big role and my first lead to be able to fall back on. Ask myself the questions and my instincts and things like that. And, this, I've never connected to a script like this before, which was a good feeling to move forward and just know how that feels to really tap in and really feel like something is pulling at your own heartstrings, and then to be able to translate that and put it into other things that might not be so personal, but at the end of the day, we all have an opinion on something, and everything ends up getting sort of traced back to something personal and intense. So it was a really eye-opening experience to come back after the success of the first season and try to hit it out of the park.
And without any spoilers, what is
there's
the sort
baseball in that first episode.
I was going to say, what is sort of
the
the plot of this first episode?
It is, an explosion that's close to home, and then kind of peels back on this layer or this very thin wall between is somebody evil if they can do something evil, or are they evil if they would do something? Sort of what is the parameters around that? What makes somebody arrestable? Can we really put someone in jail forever based off of, leaving breadcrumbs and see if they follow? And in the terms of radicalization with terrorist organizations, that's definitely how they bring people into these. They just tell them a bunch of good, and of course you're going to find people that aren't as strong and maybe weaker, and they'll bend to that, and it doesn't seem that bad, or it just seems like you're doing something very small for a huge reward, where I guess the lesson in that is nothing is for free, and it's intense to really be asking, does this really happen? This really happens, and you're realizing it does. So it was nice to play around with. I've been on the other side of the typecasting world pretty much my whole career up until this moment, and yeah, you know, we do a little undercover. I get to play at sort of both sides of it in one episode, so it's really nice. It was just really meaty and felt like we weren't wasting an opportunity. You know, having me being an Arab American as the lead, and so I was really psyched. I called them and said thank you after I read the script.
Yeah, you mentioned that for years you took roles where you played a stereotype, and Owe is definitely a hero in so many ways. He's fighting for America in every way possible. So what's the importance of having a character like that on network TV, especially at these times where we're still having talk of a Muslim ban and all of these other political statements?
I think the most important part is that you have these people that are awake and that do understand that different perspectives and stories need to be told from all of them, but there is still a world of people that aren't so open-minded. And, you know, going from as open-minded as you can, which is, you know, people in this room, us in this industry, and then you know, as the mind gets closed, there is that one person where it's sealed completely off. So it's an interesting challenge. It adds sort of an importance and a purpose to the role, which I really like, because we shoot so much and it gets really intense, and being able to fall back on this is important, this is changing opinions, this is creating a positive role model for kids that may have not ever seen somebody of their skin color or religion. The same way it happened with Black Panther. You know, just getting to be in that fight and in that game is something that I'll definitely devote, you know, as much time and effort into.
And I would imagine as an actor, this has probably been a real gift for you, this role, because you mentioned these characters before, maybe it just seemed like one-dimensional, whereas Owe is very nuanced, and every kind of episode, season, we get to discover something new about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting because I feel like in today's world, we're moving into, you know, subtle realities are what we're attracted to, something that is just like our life or someone that we can really relate to. And then you bring it into the way they're even shooting TV now. You're coming in for these close-ups. Everything's small and subtle. So it's sort of just that. It's like not trying too hard to be I'm this or to be I'm that. It's just someone with a job, and in that job, your personal stuff affects that job and the way you work, and getting to take the time to you know, slowly get there and see what works and what doesn't is nice.
How much did you guys get to pick the brains of actual FBI agents, just to sort of understand how they balance their personal life with these really tough day jobs?
Yeah, well, it's pretty the same. There is no balance. It's pretty much all the job, you know, and which is crazy. They sacrifice so much. They have to get colleagues to pick kids up. They have to leave on the drop of a hat. And at the end of it all, there is no why am I doing this? Why don't I stop and spend more time here and there? They're making these sacrifices to protect, you know, real people, and it's an honor to sort of portray them or get to be someone that stands, you know, next to them and maybe is the face or whatever. But it's a real privilege to kind of try to play these guys on TV.
And how much of the storylines are, like, you know, drawn from actual headlines or actual happenings? Do you know how they sort of tell the truth in that way?
I mean, in the same way we deal with, you know, current political things, we have to stand right in the middle, because you can't, you know, when it comes from a business aspect, but when it comes from the storylines, you know, we get one that's really real, and then you have to take it back. You got to bring it back for TV or go one way or the other. But you know, it's nice when we get a script and we're like, we're doing that story or that thing that happened in the news, and then you get to remember how you felt about it and you get to bring that in. So from an acting perspective, it's nice when, you know, the realer things get, the kind of more you can give into it. The weirder things, then you go different places and stuff like that, but it's all fun.
I just read some other articles on you, and I discovered that you were down to your last $300 when you auditioned for this role.
I was like, finally, here's that moment that you read about with actors and stuff like that. I was at, my cousin came into LA when I was day 2 out of 5 waiting for this role. I couldn't move. She was like, you got to get out of the house. You got to do something. And went to the ATM, and realized that rent hit in 2 days. There was 16 or 1,800 that was all going to go to that, and that was $300, and there was no more checks. And it was definitely that moment where you're like, oh wow, there's the phone call at the end of this. But took the $100 out, and we kept it moving, fingers crossed. And here we are. Every tab on my laptop was open to real estate classes in the greater Los Angeles
So that was
area.
plan B. You're going to sell some houses?
Yeah, I mean, acting, I was lucky enough to be able to sustain myself for the 2 years before this with some recurring guest stars and stuff like that. But yeah, the whole big conversation of what are you going to do was always there. And then, of course, you get the show and everyone's like, we knew it. You were never where you're supposed to be. But yeah, so it was nice to have that moment because I always read about it and I was like, I haven't gotten there yet. Right. And then you wanna. So thank God it worked out.
Does that help you sort of maneuver this newfound status that you have? I'm sure that's like when you go from 0 to 60 in that way. Does remembering kind of where you started help you sort of try to find some balance?
Of course. I mean, the biggest thing for me actually recently, I took my dad's car and drove it to New York for work because he got shoulder surgery, so he was out for a bit. So I was like, let me have a car in New York. Maybe I'll come back and forth. And being stuck in traffic on the way to a job, I was like, this was my whole life before you drive 4 hours for an audition or you drive all this. And I was like, just those little things that kind of remind you and keep you in that help a lot. And it's kind of like I don't know, it's like therapeutic, and I really enjoy it because it does get a little crazy. Thank God we work enough that, you can't really get lost in it, but you definitely see how it's possible. And but I don't know, I think I'm keeping my head above it. At the end of the day, I'm a realist, and I know that this could go away tomorrow, and everyone's, oh, you'll be fine for 20 years, and I'm like, shh.
Like, knock on wood, please.
Please don't say that. But yeah, so we got to trust the process, and I'm just trying to, give it all as much as I can.
Yeah. So what do you look forward to in the industry then? Obviously, this is a very successful show. You're really locked in, but are there more roles or characters that you want to take on, especially being an Arab American actor?
I mean, I will, of course, put this into the universe, but there really is no. I do love this job, and they're writing this super agent character with this emotional capacity. So like, it's all there, We get to do the levity, and we get to do the fun, but of course, the goal as an immigrant to this country and as someone in this position to be, I would love to be a Middle Eastern superhero for the Marvel universe and take it kind of to the next level. I figured if Black Panther worked, maybe Brown Camel can, get a shot in there.
Trademark.
We'll see if Lockett, we'll see if that can work. But yeah.
That does seem in line. Obviously, we can sort of see a taste of who that action hero would be from this role. But also, I see on your Instagram, you're like in the gym all the time.
Well, yeah, I because of the superhero goal. But yeah, I lost 100 pounds. Well, no. Originally, it was just for health and stuff like that. And I was always an athlete in high school. And then the freshman 15 turned into freshman 115. And then it kind of, I just wasn't really aware of an industry until I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, of all places. And there's this little Hollywood there. And I got signed and from doing this little play at this community school. And then I just realized, like, if I keep changing, if I keep working, keeping your energy good, that translates. And then I started realizing every 10 pounds, I'm a different actor. I'm a different person. I can play different roles. And then it linked where I was like, in theory, I'm getting paid to work out, which everyone's always like, if I could just get paid to work out, I'd do it. So I was just like, just hold on to that. And now we just keep going because of the pressure to represent these guys that are out there. And, if I'd like to give them at least, the strongest version of myself for that.
Yeah. And do you guys use a lot of stunt guys, or do you end up trying to do some of the stuff yourself?
Whatever they'll let me, but they and it's so funny because it's just whatever's in the script is what's ensured. So if we like in the day are like, let's hop over this fence, they're like, well, you can't do it because it's not insured. And I'm like, it's a little fence. And they're like, but then I saw my stunt guy do the first bit that I ever saw, like when I was watching season 1. I was like, oh, he's about 10 pounds lighter. He can do all the stunts he wants. I just kind of, but yeah, it works. And the way they shoot, it's all awesome. And my stunt guy, David, is incredible.
The action scenes in this show are pretty
They're-
top.
they're
They're
pretty cool,
amazing.
yeah.
They really lock you in. You sort of like get transported. For
And
a minute.
and then some episodes you have these sequences that are really intense, and it's great to kind of use our stunt coordinator to his fullest potential because you name it and like it can happen. But yeah, the stunt stuff and the action stuff is so awesome, and the way our DP shoots it and lights it, it just adds this, just takes it a little bit out of the normal network vibe and world. So hopefully that'll kind of be able to live forever.
Has being on the show expanded your goals within the industry at all? Like the way you just mentioned, the lighting and the DP, like has it kind of inspired you to do more work behind the camera as well?
I mean, of course, I feel like naturally you start to click, and you it sort of brings down that impossibility or that. That it's like these magical creatures are creating this thing. It's all real people, and they're all just really excited, and they all just want to make each moment the coolest or do something awesome. And I'm realizing now like how these things are built, and it's sort of just bringing everything down to normal, which is like directing and all of those things. But yeah, I think I'll stay in my lane for a little longer, but we'll see what happens there.
For your lane, you're doing pretty good.
Cheers.
So you should
Thank
stay
you
in
so
your
much.
lane.
Yeah, it's a good lane.
Yeah. Before we go, we do have a couple of questions.
Cool.
Who do we have first?
Hello.
Hi.
I was wondering what one of your favorite scenes to shoot from this season was.
Ooh. Yeah, my favorite scene to shoot from this season is a scene on the stoop in episode 1 where I got to talk to my partner about kind of the perception of Arabs and Arab Americans and Muslims in a way that I've spoken to a lot of friends and family about in person. And it got a little emotional, but it was one of those scenes where you walk off when you know that you said it how you wanted to say it, And what I love about the show and working with Missy is whenever, the action stuff and the knocking down doors, all good, but whenever we get to do a scene that's like, what's behind the eyes? She's so safe to do that with and supportive, and being on the newer side of things, it's really exciting because then you're like, oh, we just said something. So it's definitely the emotional character stuff between me and her, my favorite stuff. Yeah.
And that chemistry between you and her has some people questioning if your characters will ever move into a romantic realm. What do you think about that?
I think it would be a little insensitive since we just spent the whole first season looking for who killed her husband. But, it's a long story, and who knows where they're going to go with it. I've made the mistake of shutting it down before because of how, and they're like, well, you never know where it's going to go. I'm like, but she's just been such a, I don't know, I don't want to say it like big sister. I said it in case it ever goes that way. But yeah, it's she's just helped me so much, and we've become really close and confidants and all that. So it's that's always a little weird to me. I don't know if they're going to do it anytime soon, but we'll see.
I just think your characters would be really great.
It's nice. I mean, it's nice to, I don't know, with the energy and the on and off screen, it's great. And so whatever keeps it like that.
That was a nice answer, but not answer, but kind of answer. So thank you.
We get married in episode.
Yeah.
Good.
I was wondering what's something you've learned from playing your character that you've taken and like applied to your own life.
Ooh. Okay. Off the top of the head, staying cool and collected. He's very, super under control, and then in my real life, I'll start to do these, my remote got stuck in a weird place, and instead of I just relaxed, brought it down, and ended up. I used the heat off my fingers to get traction to pull it, and I was like, I'm in the FBI. This is incredible. But I don't know, it's just I think playing him, and he has ties into the military and meeting all these military guys, especially when I come from a world where I do work out a lot, and you do kind of hit those limits and have to push past them, and you just say, well, I've heard a story about a guy do it with his leg broken, or I've heard it, and it kind of just helps me, keep my will strong and stuff like that.
On that note, do you ever have to remind people that you're not actually in the FBI and that like, you can't save their lives?
Yeah, usually my friends when we go out. Say, guys, I can't do that.
Especially because you're tall, I can see people like starting a fight and they be like, Zeeko, get him. And you're like,
Right.
not today.
You're not gonna have it. No, you know, I mean, that's the cool thing about this bureau is they are all real people with hidden badges out in the world. So it's like kind of more about where your morals and values kind of stand in these moments. So if we're ever out, you know, they're definitely lining up. But yeah, I try to keep that line strong before I go speeding through a red light and throw my badge out the window or something like that. Yeah.
Well, Zeeko, it was really great chatting.
Thank
with
you for having me.
You guys, season 2 of FBI premieres on September 24th at 9 p.m. on CBS. Put your hands together for Zeeko Zaki.
Thank you guys. Thanks so much.